MotorWeek 90, television's automotive magazine, with your host, John Davis.
Well, hello and welcome again to MotorWeek 90. We're glad to have you with us. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, because Owings Mills, Maryland is still kind of chilly this time of year. When we travel, it's interesting to look at the local automotive trends. Here, a lot of people seem to like sport utility and four-wheel drive vehicles, for obvious reasons. But driving off-road in the desert or anywhere, it takes a lot of care and some special skills. Well, Lisa Barrow decided to learn more about it, and she's going to take us along for a ride in her FYI report on four-wheel drive driving techniques.
Last year, nearly 1 million sport utility vehicles were sold in the U.S. And it makes sense that if you have four-wheel drive capability, you should really know how to use it. So we asked Range Rover to show us some four-wheel drive techniques.
This is East Norcastle in the heart of England. Just one training area where Range Rover demonstrates how to handle a four-wheel drive vehicle. Roger Craythorne was my instructor for the day.
Now, where it's rutty like this, you've got to pick one set of ruts, and it's virtually like driving a train on rails. I can attempt to steer out of the ruts, but if it says no and it's going to slide back in, just ease the vehicle back into the ruts and then just carry on driving in a straight line.
You might also encounter water holes along the way. It's very important to check the depth before you drive in. If the water is over your tires, drive in slowly and then increase your speed to create a bow wave.
The bow wave creates a depression, and inside the depression is the engine bay, so that the engine is actually running in fresh air. The most important thing is not to get water into the air intake, because that's the only thing that will damage the engine. There you go. Wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
No, it looked a lot worse.
Yeah, it's most important to drive the vehicle as smooth as possible. So if you're carrying passengers or you're carrying equipment, treat it like a gross of eggs. You mustn't break them. It looks impressive to be flying through the air with the wheels off the ground, but remember, a four-wheel drive vehicle is only as good as when all four wheels have traction. Lisa, we have a fallen tree here that we have to cross. The most important thing is to cross it at an angle, roughly 45 degrees, so only one wheel at a time crosses. If both wheels cross together, you have the problem that maybe the log or the tree gets trapped under the chassis and then you're really stuck. So let's try it, and we'll go one wheel at a time.
Okay. You should cross the log in first gear and use the brakes to maintain control. These same principles apply to crossing a ditch.
In this area, we've got a drainage ditch to cross. It's important that we cross it at the right angle, roughly 45 degrees, and only one wheel in the ditch at a time. Otherwise, if you drive straight at a ditch, you can get the vehicle trapped.
And this is why it's a good idea to travel in pairs. Obstacles and ditches are one thing, but this is quite another. Whoa! And when it comes to hills, it's very important that you're in control and the vehicle doesn't control you.
I'm still in first gear now because we are beginning to descend. And I can see ahead of me. Most important to read the track the whole time. About 25 yards ahead, I can't see the track. It's disappearing over a brow. So it's better to stay in first gear until I get to that brow. Because although with an automatic I can pull it back into first if I've already started my descent, it's much easier and much safer to control the vehicle by being in the right gear before you proceed through a difficult area. So, and I was right, the ground does disappear away from us, and it's getting steeper and steeper now. So I'm going to stay in first gear. I'm just on a trailing throttle at the moment, and I can feel the vehicle just starting to toboggan. It's starting to slide. And it's just starting to catch up a little bit. Now I'm just going to ease it slightly into the water on the foot brake, but not brake too hard. I'm just feathering the brakes, because I don't want to thump myself, all the rest of my crew, hard into the water. And remember those gross of eggs we've got in the trunk?
Yes.
Now I'm going into third gear to drive up the other side.
Ooh.
That was good.
That was good.
Just ease it up nice and gently.
Unfortunately, there just isn't enough time to cover every four-wheel drive technique. But hopefully you've gotten a sense of what it takes to handle a sport utility vehicle. And that is using common sense and driving at a slow, steady pace.
Bosch fuel injection and